Hey YouTube, not so Slim Jim, and I'm coming in my second installment of the budget 50 BMG build. So today we're going over the fire control group of the BFG 50. Now first, I have to make the comment because YouTube's listening. This is not for a semi-automatic weapon. This is not for a full automatic weapon. This is not for a 3D printed or ghost gun. This is not for a magazine-fed weapon. This is for a single-shot bolt-action rifle only. This will not make the weapon shoot any faster or modify it so it can do anything other than its original intended single-shot purpose. With that out the way, we can get into it. So, as we went over last time, this is the fire control group for the 50 BFG single-shot rifle. Now, this is, I'm going to refer to this to as Armalite type receiver that uses the majority of the Armalite type stuff. Now, from the factory, it has this rather beefy hammer, which is required to have because of the placement of the bolt, the necessary weight, and the extra power spring needed to set off the primers in the 50 BMG cartridge. The factory trigger, believe it or not, actually is not a bad trigger. I didn't get the weight on it, but with my decades of shooting, I would say it's somewhere between probably the 8 and 10 pound pull mark with the factory trigger. It's got no take up, it's got no creep, it's right on it. It's got a really short pull. It's just a heavy trigger. So all I did is got a nothing special, nickel boron coated with a Kaw Valley reduced power trigger spring. And that pretty much cut that in half. So it's about the same trigger pull, just half the weight. Now it comes with a factory Armalite style safety that you would see on any of the standard type rifles. I just went ahead and swapped it out for a Ambi one I have that has a cutout on the right side. So, I'm sorry, on the left side. So when I'm firing, it doesn't interfere with my finger, and a full size on the left. You can also use these larger two paddle size ones if you want to. They have the 45 or the 90 throw on it if you want to. That is up to you. They will both fit no problem. Now the factory pins that come with it aren't your standard Armalite style pins. They, if you can see these, have little C-clips on the end which hold them in very, very well. But when I went to take this off for the first time, this little bugger shot about 20 feet across the room and took me about half an hour to find. So even though they work great, they are you got to be very careful with them because they will go flying. Now you can run aftermarket pins. You can't run stock Armalite style pins because they don't have the retention needed in to hold them into place. You're going to want to run anti-walk. I would recommend if you do the twin screw or style ones like we have here. But because the receiver is just a little bit narrower, in fact, I have a stock Armalite receiver here, which is 22 millimeter versus about 21.8. So it's just a hair narrower, but just that little bit allows this guy to just kind of have a little bit of free play. So I just took a file and just filed it down. Now, depending upon the manufacturer of your pins, these are Kaw Valley ones that may already fit without having to make the adjustment to make them snug. But for mine, I just had to do a little file work to one side just to shorten them so they have a nice tight fit without coming down. For the grip, it comes with the standardized rubber ergo grip. Nothing special. They're good, especially for this rifle. They work well because it has a good recoil reduction from the rubber inside of it. I went with the Mod 1. I have a beaver tail Mod 1, which if you want to do, if you can see, I had to do quite a bit of modifying on the inside of the tail to get the fit. So unless you want to do modifications, get a straight cut rear that will bolt right up. Otherwise, you're going to have to do some Dremel / filing work to get it to function properly. It does use the standard detent for the safety, along with the detent spring that goes into the grip itself. Grip screws the same, as you can tell. There is nothing special about the design here. It's very common for the Armalite style. The pins for the back I measured are both rear takedown pins. So if you want to go aftermarket rear takedown pins for the fire control group, you're going to have to get 2 rear ones to make it work. To remove them, it's the exact same as you would on a standard Armalite rifle, but instead of being on the right ear, it's on the left ear for the front, where you have to depress the pin to remove it. The rear is actually the same, but instead of coming from the rear, it comes from the top, where you have to depress the pin underneath here, remove it, and then you'll have the detent and detent spring that are located in the body here, with a weep hole there and a weep hole right here for the front one. So you don't worry about hydrolocking them with a bunch of oil or something and them not wanting to function properly. Overall, very basic design, functions properly. I know someone's going to ask me at some point about the cheek riser I have on the rifle, so I'm going to show what I have here. These are the Nothing Special high density foam universal cheek risers you can get off Amazon. I use the highest one. This is the intermediate. I put a piece of craft paper over the tube where I want it to sit, a piece of emery cloth, and I just ran it back and forth on the tube until I got the appropriate profile. This one isn't because I didn't use it. Once I did, I used this same material I have on the table here as a cover so it doesn't get worn out. I glued it on top of it for additional longevity and cool points, and then uses a whatever the black super tough rubber glue on the bottom. I haven't a brain for it in the name. It's like window weld basically. So it's shock resistant, but if I need to, I can peel it off and then use the last little bit of residue, some acetone to remove it. So that's what I did for the cheek riser. You can do whatever you like. That's just worked for me because I didn't want to drill anything into the tube. So this is a breakdown of the fire control group. Next we'll be having the optic I selected, why I selected the optic, and mounting of the optic. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down in the comment section.